is contained that very gamut through which we all are. Now, the Kundalini has only one purpose and one purpose alone. As soon as she wakes up, even if she's stirring, what happens if you wake up but you're not fully awake and you're a little bit groggy? You won't feel like waking up, right? So similarly, if she doesn't have enough, like say cortisol, we need cortisol to kick in for us to wake up. Now, if we don't have enough of all of those things for whatever reason, we've been chronically stressed, we're sleep deprived, and that oomph is not coming, so we don't have that power inside of us, so we'll just go back to sleep. Now, when Kundalini is awakened, she not only needs to wake up, she needs to have enough power to climb up. Because all she can see, she has tunnel vision. All she can see and all she ever wants is union with that void through which she knows that she came, and she knows for her to go there, she first needs to meet the manifest version of her own self in the opposite direction. So say the female needs to go and meet the male. Once she has transcended the duality of opposites as well, which will come when we get to the rudra granthi, she can finally then make the ascent and meet the void. So what is Kundalini Shakti? Now we have seen that Kundalini has only one, why she's existing. So noted that the reason why Kundalini must remain dormant is for us to experience the totality of this 3D existence. Now, if and when there is an age that we are now leaving and going and moving on to the next stage, or if, like there was a saying in the Gita that Krishna said that whenever dharma is now at its end, or there are things and everything has fallen apart, I will be back again. Now this is when you have the great rising, the great awakening. Something happens that there is a spiritual evolution where people are now remembering who they are. Now Kundalini can be awakened either consciously or unconsciously. When you awaken Kundalini consciously, you already have the desire inside of you to experience the great awakening, for you to experience not only the awakening, but for you to go back to source, for you to go back into the void. For those of you that had no desire for a Kundalini awakening, your awakening, if it has come about spontaneously, could have happened as a result of trauma, near-death experience, but ultimately, so much pressure in your nervous system that desire to go home, that desire to escape, that desire for this other mechanism to kick in to remind us that is what we are, and to repair, to rejuvenate, to bring back life. Now, either way, the pressure has got to be enough. Remember to give life to this. Now, if you have had a spontaneous Kundalini awakening, but do not have a desire for all that is, most of you or some of you will not have had a spiritual awakening or Kundalini awakening, and you won't even know that it's just a Kundalini awakening. Or you will have one and you will know it is a Kundalini awakening, and you are somehow inclined towards either those who are already awake or some information to do with the Kundalini awakening, which will assist you in understanding what this is, in integrating what this is. And usually this means that you will follow some form of spiritual practice, and spiritual practice can be anything that gets you back in touch with yourself, gets you back in touch with the source, and gets rid of any debris by integrating it. Those of you then who have absolutely no desire are the ones that will ultimately have a situation where you'll either be stuck in a particular state for a very, very, very long time, or the Kundalini will eventually go back down again. But this will all depend on where and how far she reached in her ascent. Going back to Kundalini awakening, whether it was desired, whether it was not desired, whether it was unconscious or conscious, once Kundalini has awoken and there is a conscious desire to know the void, to become the void, to also ascend. So your desire and her desire are one. Then you're able to carry on that ascending with very little effort and very little resistance, very little overwhelm, very little rigidity. This would usually happen if you were under the auspices of a guru or a spiritual teacher or yourself, but you're very, very self-aware and you've gotten yourself to a stage where you've been able to transcend those 3 knots. The 3 knots, folks, are the knots that are called the Brahma, Vishnu and Rudra granthis. These are 3 knots. The reason why they are called knots is that for the Kundalini to pierce through that, you as the microcosm, you as the manifest reality of this entirety of creation must transcend through what that knot represents itself as. So the very first one at the mooladhara, the mul, the root, which is where the Kundalini sits between the perineum and the anus. So this is where you have the Kundalini sitting in that pit, but you can't see that. When the Kundalini here wants to break that knot, and for it to break that knot, it means that it will then leave that point. You will have to overcome survival issues, fear issues. You will have to overcome sexual desires. You will have to overcome all of that which are very dense reactions to manifest reality and associations. Now, once you have left that, Kundalini can safely carry on the ascent. Now, because remember that when Kundalini is awoken, and it will amplify sexual energy because that's where she is. Now, when sexual energy is amplified, because of previous experiences or the way that you may have associated the sensation, you may think, oh, okay, so this is sexual energy. Now I've got to do something about it. Or if I don't, how will I control this? Or what will I do? Right? But when you've had a spiritual awakening, or you are self-aware and your desire is the same desire that Kundalini has, which is to rise. She just wants to go up. Then to adopt celibacy, for you to be able to tighten that lock to make sure no energy comes out, will be very natural to you. So you will be able to release that energy to then move upwards. Now the Kundalini has to move from that point right up to the second knot, which is the heart, Vishnu granthi. Now look, there is such a big distance between that point and the heart point. You have to transcend almost all of your fears, all of your issues to do with the lower half of our existence, which I will come back to shortly. And then the last granthi, the Rudra granthi, is, some say that it is behind our neck and some say that it is between our eyes, but it is connected and in the middle of these two. That is pierced when you are even beyond every spiritual knowledge.
Please continue to PT3.